Learn to read.
Okay, so this is now about connected. All right, so for those of you tuning in, this is a match that I'm just randomly spectating here on Gemp. My name is Teltura. On the Players Council with me also is Double Hooks and Menace64. So we'll just heckle these people, I guess, for their bad decisions and see what's going on.
Heir to the White City. I heckle them for that. Doing broken. What's wrong with you?
Did that guy just run twice? So I missed the very beginning of it because we were getting the stream set up. But it looks like we have... Let's see, who went first? JCB. And I believe JCB is on... Yeah, so JCB is this guy up here. And Vigor is this guy down here. What format is this? I didn't even notice. Probably Fellowship? Yeah, Fellowship block.
Yeah, it looks like Fellowship.
It
looks like he's running your favorite format.
Did you close the deck list window so we can get it a little bit bigger?
Oh, yes, yeah.
So I'm guessing on that first moved site too, it was like 15, 16 Twilight, and they played nothing. So he's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to keep on going then.
Yeah, seriously. Like, why not take that? Especially when he had to play all these expensive companions. I mean, that's both Gandalf and Aragorn that he dropped on the first site.
Really like these multicultural fellowships. I hope JCB wins this just on that merit alone.
Rainbow should definitely be something that shows up more often. I mean, this is not the only card that enables it, but it's one of the few, I think, that you really build the deck around.
Fun one.
Wait, did he just run twice? I mean, at least it made sense for Heir to the White City to run twice, because he's choking him to death. But, oh, well, Flaming Brand, this Nazgul deck's about to go down.
First choke matchup is against Moria, so that might even out pretty quick.
Yep, that is true. Moria don't need no Twilight.
I'm interested to see what the bottom player's plan is to deal with Moria conditions, because with just 2 companions, you're going to be in big trouble. They start stacking and bringing Moria minions back.
Yeah, it's possible that he's holding on to stuff that will deal with it, but I guess we'll see. Black Breath on Aragorn. I was watching a match earlier today where somebody had intentionally stacked 2 Black Breaths on Aragorn just to keep him from Athelios in a way. It's pretty funny.
In towers, that can make some sense because you can trigger Grima a little bit easier. Yeah. Breathe on someone a bunch and then bounce them.
Oh, Cantea, the anti-flaming brand. In that same match that I watched with the dual Black Breaths on Aragorn, he had 2 flaming brands against a Nazgul deck, and the other guy played a Cantea, and watching him jump through hoops to make sure that he didn't skirmish with Aragorn was pretty funny. Because that would have just nuked their whole strategy right there. Oh, going the boring way out. You're gonna take out Cantea and then just flex in front of him.
Howard! Take that back, JCB. You're not a coward. You're a hero. Love your deck.
Those sorts of Witch King setups where you have a fierce, strong, but not strong enough to overwhelm situation always feel kind of anticlimactic. Like, oh no, you put 2 wounds on Gandalf. Okay, that was a lot of work for that.
Oh, in my last game, I love Troll of Kirith Gorgor. That's one of my favorite minions ever. So I'm dropping like 25 strength damage plus 1 fierce minions on a regular basis, and Alan had like handoff setup and support, and you're just wiping all those wounds off every turn. I'm like, I can't do damage.
Nice. That was a nice little combo there. Wounding a deliberate bulger up here to make sure that he can't actually cancel it this turn anyway, I'm sure. Yeah, he's just going to heal him up with old Bilbo's Air, but...
Did hear old Bilbo's hair. That's a disgusting card. That's foul.
It's a toupee, okay?
Artifact is what it is.
Hair from his head or hair from his feet?
We'll just...
Hopefully it's one of those two. It's worse from there.
I brought it up. Mentioned how it's anticlimactic when major minions, don't really do much.
Yeah.
It felt especially bad back in the old days when you were playing physically and you went to all this work to trade or buy that big minion, and then in the end it just doesn't deliver any damage for you.
I mean, how many dwarf guards have been thrown at the Balrog to just say, yeah, get out of my way?
It's a little easier to deal with Balrog when you are a teenager and grossly misinterpret what the cards do, and so you end up with like 4 hand axes on Gimli. There's normal axe. Like, nah, man, I'm fine.
I remember back in the day making a fellowship deck that was based around making the Mary that has a boost when he's holding a hand weapon, trying to get him up to as high as we could. And I feel like at one point we had figured out a hand that would allow him to overwhelm the Balrog, but I can't recall what it was, and I can't imagine that it was legal.
Right. Managed to overwhelm Shotgun and Kea with Pippin in my last game. That was a fun little milestone for me. Oh, Pippin. Gonna work.
That doesn't make sense. It's clearly supposed to be Mary.
Well, it's a everything in my deck is a tail deck. So Pippin for mages in all of the tails in the world. Just here you go. Tea's my favorite card art of Nazgul in that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So who's he gonna flex on this time?
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
No card I just don't see anymore that I wish I saw more of. I'm not sure if it's just not good anymore, but power according to his stature. I've seen a few games where if someone had that in their hand or even ran it, things would have been very different.
I see it all the time in fellowship decks, but that's because sometimes you have nothing else that you can do to hold off Moria. But as far as like, yeah, but it should be in like movie and things like that.
It's a solid card. It's situational, which is the problem, I guess.
Yeah, especially when you throw enduring people into the mix, and then it's no longer just a might do something, might do nothing, and now might do something or might make your life harder. So
I thought about that.
Oops, what did he do wrong?
Not going to overwhelm the Nazgul.
Apparently.
Oh, he could have baited her into Loot Twilight before he moved again.
Gotcha.
I don't think it's going to matter very much. Well, I'd call this an effective counter to choke. Just have an amazing
barrel through. This is the anti-choke here. Just saying, this is basically an Ent deck, right? You know, even though Ents don't exist at this point, we're just gonna throw down a bunch of expensive guys, load them up, and roll. Oh, he's calling it. He conceded. Now, usually when I end up with a fellowship at this point, it's because I've gotten slaughtered and I've lost 6 companions already. But sometimes people prefer to start that way.
Well, companions can't die if you don't play them.
Well, hey, that's the way to go. All right, let's see. I'm gonna wait for one of these two to start. I could hop into the middle of a game that's halfway over. Oh, there we go. Watch this one.
You see the format on this one?
This one is Fellowship Block. Yeah. Big Bitter over here. Hey, does it to get Sam?
CB. See it? Spiritual rematch, not the same guy.
No, but it's the same same choke deck.
I think 90% of your matchups in Fellowship Block right now are going to be Heir to the White City.
Yeah, he's just... I'm not a fan of choke.
Handsome devil, people can't resist.
He smells like old onions, though. I mean, look at him. He's been outside for years.
Who's that guy in the last Homely House? LSR Socks? I look foul and feel foul. Is that it?
And Nazgul, he's gonna walk this. It's the same. Well, he did just say that he drew horrible, so let's see what happens. It's different.
Yeah, I think this is a burden built deck. The other one wasn't necessarily burden. I think it was just trying to be a beatdown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's at Site 2, and he's already got more wounds than can be handled at the Sanctuary. Unless, of course, he sacrifices Sam here, which may not be a great idea against a burden deck. Yeah, he might be hosed. Because he's definitely going to be going into the Ford.
Oh. Brandy Buck.
Well, we don't know what that's
I need to get
unless it's the same deck, in which case, yeah. It's
one who Min would follow and get that Brandy Buck out onto the table for fighting. Did the card even work on Hobbits? I don't remember.
Getting all of his anti-elf cards out of the way since he knows he doesn't need them. Although, based on his complaints in chat about how terrible his mulligan was, that might just be literally all he had.
An elaborate bluff.
Oh, and using a Hobbit stealth on Site 2 against a goblin that he probably could have handled.
Interesting to see is goblins can get to last game.
Now, granted, he probably has 4 of these in this deck, because why not? Me, when I run it, I only have like 1 or 2, so I try to hold on to them for emergencies. This was not an emergency. Balrog fodder. Ho ho! Nice. Yeah, he's getting set up. And he doesn't... I mean, unless this is the same Friend of the Shirefolk deck, he probably doesn't even have much to take care of all this. Which, it might be. They can use Stinking Sleep Card Address. I hate that card, but... Well, that's a pretty
Just
early
imagine.
sacrifice.
Point in the near future, head of the council card, or head of his order. If and when that card becomes official, think of how good it's going to feel to shut down Sleep Care Address. Like, actually, no, don't do that. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we've got some comments on Facebook. By Joseph Justice. Kentea's anti-anything you're bearing. Yeah, that's true. But he really shines with those flaming brands when you're playing a Nazgul deck. Bit of banter going on in chat. I'm going to draw the weapons for whoever I kill here, so that's why he can't sacrifice this other two, or he'll get clogged with a bunch of possessions. But like he mentions, he's got to choose between that and getting rid of Sam against a burden deck. Catch 22. Oh, dear me.
You think of Build a Pony as an ally.
So we were kind of talking about this on Discord a while ago, about how if all choke was set up like this, then it would actually put an absolute cap on how effective choke could be.
If all the underground.
Well, not the underground part, but rather the shadow number. If instead of actually removing Twilight, they only ever reduce the shadow number, then that would be good for the first few, and then would be less effective as time went on. And,
it would cap.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, and it would cap. So on here with a site that's 2, well, the maximum that you can choke is 2, and so that would put an upper effect on it instead of this BS.
You think of an Heir to the White City errata that just makes the shadow or the Twilight number of each site -1.
I mean, that could work. It splits the 2 across being able to move both during the Fellowship and the regroup phase. And yeah, like I think that's a potential errata right there. That could definitely work.
If we wanted to move focus for, I don't know if this is the right place to be talking about perspective erratas. It's just on my mind.
No, feel free. I mean, we're just sort of idly commentating on this stuff, and so I think it's fine.
Did he play Ranger of the North in the last game, JCB? Remember if I saw? Oh yeah, because he had flaming brands out the wazoo.
Yeah, he did. He had all that. The ability to go Defender +1, like he was gonna ever need it. He was beating guys down with his bare hands. Well, the armory loop may be coming into play here. Here we go.
I'm gonna write that down. If we get into Hobbit sets, we need to have a Bjorn card that says "with his bare hands."
I always forget. Whenever I see somebody do that against the Frodo, and I'm like, "Are you serious? Are you throwing?" No, he's got a Hobbit stealth. What am I thinking?
Just after those raffle tickets. Trust me, once did play.
Yeah.
Trust me, is easily one of my favorite.
Ooh, it's been a while since I've seen
Good card.
helm, shield, or armor. The only helm that might ever matter is Gimli's helm, and the only armor that might matter is the coat of mail. That's one of those cases where it was like clearly setting up, and then it's got no use. It's got very little use. Are there any shields out there?
Boromir had a shield in Mines of Moria.
That's true.
And then Great Shield from the set before, but I think that's absolutely it for Fellowship block. If there's any other shields.
Yeah. And that other one was just -1 to the minion archery total, so it's like, well, big whoop. He's just going to cancel here. He's going to cancel one of them. Well, I guess he doesn't have to. Damage +1, he's strong enough to not get overwhelmed. He may as well. Oh, is he going to beat him? He's going to trust me as we once did at some point.
There's the demoralizing.
Yeah.
Weapon on Balrog, and he still loses because Gandalf has friends that trust him.
What is this, an anime? Now, at least it took him 3 cards, and it was Gandalf versus Balrog, which is about the only case that I would ever say, you know what, I'm gonna allow it. But now he's gonna deal with it again, and he's just gonna get hitting. So
he's just gonna cancel the skirmish, right?
He could cancel. Oh, what? What is he doing? I guess trying to preserve Gandalf's vitality. Yeah, slapped it on Aragorn instead. Oh, what was that?
Final cry. Yep, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Just
maybe that's
that
why.
like,
maybe he saw that coming. Oh
yeah,
no, he did not see that coming. Oh, that's great.
Oh man.
Bye bye, Aragorn.
So if we're playing that out as a story, Gandalf's on the bridge, he's got his staff, all of his friends believe in him, he beats the Balrog back, and he's getting ready to run, and Aragorn's like, I got this! And then Aragorn dies. Aragorn will not survive a 4-mile drop to the bottom of the world.
What part of Beyond You didn't you understand?
Listen when I talk to you, son.
We tell JCB.
So here's
mistakes were made at that point.
Here's what he's saying there, though, in chat, that this guy carries 3 of each of the whip of many thongs and the final cry, just to make sure that it happens. That's
amazing. Well, if you invest that much into the game, it should work for you.
Seriously, yeah. And honestly, that's probably one of the most brilliant meta moves I've seen in this game in a while. Like somebody actually anticipating the fact that everyone's like, oh, it's just the Balrog. I've got ways to deal with the Balrog. Well, you don't have ways to deal with the Balrog whipping you down.
I probably haven't seen Final Cry get played in 10 years, easy.
I'm not sure I've ever seen it played
before. Man.
Now, one thing that will not work against is people throwing Theron and Dwarf card at it. So, in those times, it would just be, look at all this setup I did just to kill a 4-strength body bag. Yeah, there he goes. To be honest, half the time it's useless. Yeah, I could see that. But times like this, it's got to make up for it. He was not anticipating him getting slapped down. I only wish that he had thrown Gandalf back into it, which is what I thought he was going to do, to hold on to the, because you take the damage +1, so that's 2 hits, who cares? But that would have been real thematic, doing a final cry against Gandalf.
Would have been cool.
But oh well. It was still great. What are we waiting on? Somebody is taking a while to decide what to play. So I think the thing that was the most surprising about that was the fact that I had forgotten that this guy is playing a Nazgul deck, a Corruption Nazgul deck. Like, I wouldn't expect that out of left field either.
A Whip of Many Thongs deck with Nazgul in it.
Seriously, kind of with that much dedication to
three whips. You're into something kinky, and Nazgul aren't going to cut it for you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, like he says, there's better synergy with the card that exerts the Balrog to add a burden, but Final Cry has the WTF effect, which is... Heck, why not both? You're already invested, just go a little further.
Actually, an old friend of mine, in the physical playing cards days, he built a Balrog Corruption deck. It's very similar to that, and that was fun to play against and lose against.
Was it in Fellowship Block?
No, but since we were playing physical cards and I had a whole bunch, it was, in all intents and purposes, Fellowship Block deck. Had all the tools.
Yeah, most of the tools.
Some of the Balrogs, though.
Yeah, that's where it comes down, because now you've only got the 2 sites that you can play it at. If it doesn't work at 4 and 5, you're hosed. But then again, I guess if you manage to pull off 2 Balrogs, that takes a lot of cards. You need both Balrogs at 4 and 5. You can pull one of them out of the deck.
Right. Well, that means you have to lose your Balrog at site 4. Which...
Mom made it.
True. I mean,
well,
he could stop
then
moving.
You may have your long thing. Okay.
I mean, to be honest, if you're at 4 with a Balrog on you, I don't think you're going to move.
After everything has to be done for stop the play.
So he's got all 4 armories in play. How's that for a screw you to your choke deck?
That's right.
Trooper will respond.
Or Bowman out.
Oh, he only had 1 scimitar? Oh, that stinks.
The Kodiak Trailer Park located at 1897 L Street based on a report by.
Yeah, that does stink. I've done that many a time. Look, it's even thematic, right? He's over there, hiding. That's why he's not fighting. But it's just to get it out of your hand. Especially now that it doesn't cancel. Man, I'm not liking the setup that he's got. I mean, I wouldn't want to play against it. He's got 2 Gondor Bowmen out. He's got... Why does that cost 0? Are you kidding me?
Or Bowman? Yeah.
There's so many cards that... I mean, I would almost want to make it like a rule that you start at 2 Twilight and you reduce it from there. Like all these 0 cost cards is just ridiculous. So many effects that just should at least have a little bit of intact.
Yeah. A unique dot on Gondor Bowman would make it so people would not run it anymore. I mean, it's one of those conditions that you have to discard it to use. So if you had 4 in your deck, all that's going to happen is you have to. It's only ever going to give you +2 archery. So at that point, 3 isn't too bad. I think non-unique is the scariest part of that card.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0 doesn't know favors in terms of funness.
I wonder if it would make sense to just rework it to be something like, so you don't discard it, make it a unique condition, or it wouldn't even have to be unique at that point, and just say exert a Gondor Companion to make the Fellowship Archer total +1. And so then, you stack up Boromir and Fellowship Block. There's not many other Gondor It's just those two, right? But so then it basically turns all of them into a green leaf. Like that might work without
I think
making
discarding it's probably crucial. If it was left in play, then it's be auto broken. If you totally rewrite it, then we can do anything we wanted.
Right.
6 Twilight now, or 6 Archery for 3 exertions, which isn't feasible, so he's only going to do 1. Well,
not against a troll. If he does, especially because he's got all these armories in play. Like
right now, just the armory's going to.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
You want it?
Site 7, I might have popped off one of the armories at this point because the armory, the Twilight generation isn't going to be as important on the last couple sites, and so using them to save.
I think part of the reasoning is he doesn't have a Goblin Swarms out. It's almost not worth saving that minion yet.
Yeah.
You're going to do 1 wound to Frodo, not a big deal. But if you have Swarms out, you might want to stack them so you can overwhelm.
Well, now I think this choke deck is in trouble. He's got an exhausted Aragorn. He's got 1 Athelas. But if another troll gets played,
I bet JCB's going to double here.
oh yeah, like he's. Yeah, the Nazgul haven't really done anything, and now he's finally got. Oh, there we go. There's an Elbereth. Yeah. Oh yeah. Get out of there.
Your Orcs Nazgul deck.
Yeah. You already played a Balrog. Surely you've got room in there for more.
It's just the site with the most Twilight, so.
True.
Oh, okay.
If he adds a couple burdens here, that might stack up.
Seeing 6 Vitality on Gandalf.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Oh, look, he's got all 4 copies of Gates of the Dead City. He played it once to be found once, and there's 4 exertions.
Beautiful.
Suddenly it's a golem
Oh,
deck.
nice!
Oh.
He's packing all sorts of surprises. Oh,
That's so much in
man.
his deck.
Add another burden. Add another burden.
Do it.
Wait.
Oh, he's only got 1 card in his hand. He has well and truly exhausted what he had available.
And I was going to say, before this phase, I was wondering if he might have actually stopped the double, but no, it's not stopped.
Oh, no. Oh.
Not of it yet.
Everybody's exhausted except for Gandalf. And you don't want to put Frodo against the Twilight Nazgul. So, yeah, this isn't quite as clear cut as one might think. Yeah, indeed. That's
Very different game than it was.
Everybody, JCB. So did everybody.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's got Elbereth. And you can really just put Witch King against Gandalf. He's not fierce, so Gandalf will take 1 hit, and then he'll exert and put 2 wounds on Frodo. So Frodo will then be exhausted. Gandalf will be 2 away. Although whoever Atia fights dies, so no.
And then he has
Unless
that
it
other
is
condition
Elbereth.
down there. When a companion dies, they get add burdens.
Oh ho ho!
Oh, God, yeah.
And he's got the 4 Gates of the Dead City. Although everyone's already exhausted, so it doesn't matter. But
I was thinking of maybe putting a Taya on Frodo, because Frodo wouldn't have died there.
yeah, because of Elbereth.
Didn't lose anything, so.
Ooh, he squeaked his way out. He had a servant
double.
fire.
Gandalf has a lot of vitality.
For that Nazgul swarm.
He can't have any more of those, though. He already used 2 on the Balrog. So, unless he was packing 4, which is quite a bit. Exert a minion to make that minion fierce. Okay.
There we go.
There's
If he
a- it wants to
exerts
be
the Witch
found.
King, he can exert him to wound Frodo.
That's true.
Gonna want to make him fierce.
And does the Isildur's Bane trigger, is that a skirmish event or skirmish action?
It's a response.
That's response.
Yeah, and he's not nearly corrupted enough for it to matter. So you may as well try and go for the kill. Especially since you got this on the board.
Stack up real quick. Kill, though.
And he can't actually wound him to death because there's seven Twilight. And so with his Terrible Servants on the board. So there's an
really
Elbreth to cancel. Boromir's gonna
That does
die.
not get him out.
Wait, Boromir's 13. What the heck? Yeah, seriously, he did not draw many. He's doing work, but
Almost as many Nazgul as he drew whips of many thongs.
seriously.
Well, that's the problem, right? He's devoted a lot of his deck to the Balrog gimmick, and then quadruple conditions down in the support area. It takes a lot of space.
And some brownie points, but maybe not a win. It was super close. Yeah, he's out of it.
I mean,
Most importantly, it was fun for the audience to watch.
yeah. I mean, he definitely gets coolness points.
I got my money's worth. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
Gimli.
So he dies. There's 2 burdens, a bunch of exertions. Doesn't matter.
Still a good game.
Man, if this was one side passed. Look at that. Look at all those chain reactions.
Only
Oh,
Sight
man.
9 is underground.
Yeah.
Picked the right game to.
Seriously. Alright, well, let's see if there's any other amazing matches. Here's one that just started. That's. Oh, it's a sealed deck. Let's see what's going on here. Format is. Oh, can't scroll up high enough to see the format. I mean, it's post shadows something.
I'll back out real quick. It'll tell you from the page.
That's a War of the Rings sealed.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, War of the Ring sealed.
I don't think I've ever watched a War of the Rings sealed game.
Muster. Now there's a mechanic that felt very. I mean, maybe it was just because it was introduced late in the game's lifetime, but it didn't feel like it was utilized much. It just, I don't know.
We could play with that. There's probably a way to write a card that triggers muster effects during different phases. Like, you could see a Rohan card that's like the mustering of Dunharrow, and then like trigger all of your muster keywords during the fellowship phase.
Actually played something like that a while back because of Windswept Homestead in the Bloodline set. That is just a token holding card for Rohan. And it plays, or it adds token for everyone with muster. It's just a great way to cycle Rohan. I know Rohan's not typically one that cycles well.
Well, there we go.
There's a card idea for Mark, wherever he is.
Oh.
So that has got to be an image from a Mordor orc at the beginning of Fellowship. Maybe it's Moria. Either way, it's ridiculous how bright that is. Having spent some time trying to, brighten up images from the movie, Decipher really had access to a lot of really good images that we just straight up can't reproduce. I don't think I've ever seen this.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
What's the collector's number on that Frenzied Orc? Small for me to see.
11C122.
Is have that listed as a Last Alliance card. I think I guessed on that, but he certainly looks like he's a Mordor Orc. Or Dork.
Mordork. Yeah, a lot of the, especially if they're red, I think, red skin, that seemed to be something that was part of the pre-processing, and then they went back later and made everything ashy and gray.
It's one thing that bothers me about, Shadow's block on when they redid the minions. The images, they look so different than the style of the movie block. I mean, a lot of that's because they're not taking it from actual movie stills, right? It's kind of pre-production stills or stuff that was cut from the movie, so it was never post-production stuff was never applied. I don't know, but
right.
You have a blue screen in one card image that's really visible, and someone's coat from the props department's in a shot card. Those are fun.
Right.
I wonder if they had like a policy of not photoshopping the elements out, because there were a couple of cards that we've done where like when we were trying to get the card concept for the wolf pit, and we were just trying to find the right shot that had the warg shadows on the wall, and there wasn't a good shot that had both a shadow that you could tell it was a warg and that was wide enough to fill the card. So I put the two together. I took a shot that had blobby shadows, and then photoshopped it so that it took the very wolf-shaped shadow over it. And it seems to me that Decipher has some sort of policy of not doing that sort of thing. But
no, early on in Star Wars CCG, they did that a lot. They tampered with cards' images constantly. Obviously, that's a different licensing issue. I don't know. I have no idea if the Tolkien estate allowed such shenanigans, but I remember reading old Decipher articles about how they did photos to make them work or usable as pictures, and just the amount of effort that went into it just to make it possible. Like, wow.
Yeah. So it sounds like, they were at least obviously aware of the concept, but most of the Lord of the Rings ones seem fairly like color. There's color correction. There's brightness, darkness, but no like. And maybe there are cards that it was done so well that I never noticed, but it does seem like there's enough counterexamples of, well, why did they just Photoshop that little bit out? But
I speculate it's just true by the end of the game.
Yeah.
More than anything, they just didn't have resources into it.
Makes sense.
And maybe they didn't even do enough quality control to even notice those things were in those pictures.
Yeah.
Some of the number of typos and words that aren't words on some cards, just want to get cards out into the format, which is, I think, a pretty good move at that point, but I've got a spell check.
Why on earth is this taking so long? I mean, there's not a whole lot to dither over. I like how both of these are fighting over getting to play the next site.
That is the one mechanic I hate playing.
Yeah, it seemed like in Fellowship Lock there were so few cards that did it that it was like, okay, this was a once, maybe twice a game thing. But with Shadows, there are so many cards that do it to the point that you can control the entire path.
Right, and I mean, this is the basic thing that got rid of most of the players after the Shadows block came out, as the site path isn't set anymore. It's one thing, you can play every site, but when it's a finite number of sites for 3 options, not. I'm seeing the same site 7 different times.
Yeah.
Is Pathfinder really effective at Site 4? No, it really isn't. No need to do that, but you can say
You
it
do
depends.
that. You do that to flex, to say, you know what? I don't actually need this card.
Go to the Bridge of Khazad-dûm because I choose to, not because I have to.
So one of the things that I've always thought should have been done with these shadow sites is, I mean, they introduced the concept of a region. Why didn't they just make it so that cards were set to a particular region? I mean, that seemed like one of the problems they were having was that you had to nerf some of these cards into the ground because they could be used along multiple places, or could be at the beginning or the end. So why not, constrain it a little bit and say that, yeah, the Prancing Pony can only be played in Region 1. So you've got 3 chances to see it, and even if you do some sort of shenanigans, the most you could possibly do with it is have it show up 3 times. Same with having Mount Doom in the last one or whatever. And although Mount Doom as it currently exists would not be compatible with this so much, but
My Mount
Mount
Doom.
Doom was my way around site manipulation.
That's actually partly why I think Mount Doom is my least favorite site they ever made, because it's the titular site of the entire quest. It's the reason the game exists in my mind. It's wasted on just anti-mechanic tech. Here we're forced into this kind of environment, and we're going to waste our only rare site on just shutting down something that we didn't need to do in the first place. Like, no. Make it pop. Make it big.
And honestly, do you know what would have been more thematic with that same concept? Is to do something with the Morgul Veil, with those what are they called? The statues with the three heads.
Watchers.
Yeah, the Watchers.
The Watchers of Kirith.
Yeah, make that a site, and then boom, that totally makes perfect sense. They're watching around. You can't change. You can't sneak. But yeah, Mount Doom. Yeah, what a waste. Yeah, that was a. There should have been something huge and epic, and not something small and gamey. Like there's some concepts about this game that feel very gamey, that are somewhat divorced from the thematics of the situation. And yeah, that's definitely a weakness, I feel.
When you use it on something so iconic as Mount Doom, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't even get a Mount Doom in movie block. Like, I want to know what the discussion there was. Like, we're not even going to make a Mount Doom for the movie block.
Hey man, we need another site about Minas Tirith. We don't have enough.
Broke my heart during the Mount Doom spoiler season. Broke my heart.
Yeah, how can you have a set named after it and not have a site named after it?
Remember when
I'm ducking out of this game. Somebody's taking way too long to do their actions. Nothing is happening.
Used to do the speculative card lists as sets were coming out, and I loved doing that. It was so much fun. It threw me off because Mount Doom is so shadow heavy that you're in Raider way early than you would expect to. As soon as we knew that it was going to be so shadow intensive, I'm like, we're gonna have a Mount Doom site. This is gonna be amazing. There's gonna be a way to destroy the ring, end the game at Mount Doom. Let's go. Golem mad thing, we're gonna see it. It's gonna happen. A dark shape spring, we're seeing it. It's gonna happen, and then nothing. A birthday present. That was cool.
Regret to inform you, there was no lava in this expansion.
The licensing disputes, we cannot include any pictures of lava in this set. Apologies.
So what have we got here at this new table? We've got a Rohan deck on one side. I mean, it's a Towers Standard, I believe is what it was. But so obviously, you're gonna have a lot of Rohan. But one of them is playing Wargs. The other one looks to be doing just Isengard. I mean, I'm actually not very well.
Like Isengard archery.
Yeah.
Love Isengard archery. On deck.
I was watching Return of the King lately, recently, and I was rather confused that in the movie all of the Gondorians called him Mithrandir. It seemed. I mean, maybe that's accurate to the book. I don't remember. It's been a while since
It
I
is accurate to the book, actually.
I think they
Well,
use both
then it seems
names.
odd there too. Then, because
Oh.
the whole point was that Gandalf was the name that men had for him, wasn't it? And so for them to all be calling him the elf name, well, maybe there's some symbology there, but
It separates
Yeah,
Gandalf from Rohan because these Gandalf and Rohan have no ties to elves or elvish tongues, but in Gondor it's a little bit different. You have some Numenorians in there.
that makes
I'm
sense.
kind of with getting both names, but yeah. Still waiting on that Aloran card. That'd be fun. I mean, if people have dream cards for that version of Gandalf, a dwarf supporter.
Hey, do you want to say hi real quick? Do you want to say hi real quick?
I asked her if she had a poop, and as soon as she said yes, she's like, Daddy. Daddy wants to help with that.
Daddy.
Hello.
Hello.
Pokemon in the chat.
How come you have your microphone away from yourself?
Very much so.
All right, sorry about that. Ducked away for a moment. So it looks like you're right. Isengard, archery.
I had a big fight with my brother once, many, many years ago, when Battle of Helm's Deep was still fresh. He just misunderstood how Weapons of Isengard worked. That's a set 4 card, but some issue with how they played out and how the discarding worked and how the wounds are given out. All right, man, you can't stack it like that. Chief memory of getting it wrong. Here we go.
Are there any cards that increase vitality for these guys? I guess they would be in the form of healing, wouldn't they? That would be a waste to have.
There's no out and out vitality booster Isengard.
Yeah.
There's one in later sets for Urukai. Isengard Siege Bow, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be an Urukai minion, not a.
So it's culture bound, culture enforced. It's funny how much Greenleaf has skewed, like, the worth of all other Legolases.
It's true.
Like, I look at this and it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, obviously that has uses, but...
Looking to me, that's a fun card.
Does Tower Standard have a lot of condition hate? Because in Fellowship, that would be so dangerous.
Grima, and I think there's 1 or 2 other Isengard cards that something along that. I don't know.
Tower Standard includes a Fellowship card, so you sleep Caradhras, man. It's the
And they have
Oh.
Saruman's
And
power.
you'd have
Yeah, that's Saruman's
and you'd have
power.
Saruman's.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
This is just pure 2 towers block.
oh, is it just?
I don't see any Fellowship cards out.
Oh yeah, it is just Towers block, not Tower Standard.
there's the one that requires like 4 Twilight tokens.
One Suddenly Tall, is that Roll of Thunder?
Roll of Thunder is the one that discards artifacts or possessions.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's grown suddenly tall.
It's Rolling Thunder that discards the possessions.
Yeah, Roll of Thunder is the one that always saves me from the besiegers and Bond.
Good old wargs. I have made far too many warg decks that didn't work.
I think I would.
Ooh.
If I was going to write like a dissertation or some paper on the fall of Decipher's design philosophy, I think I might focus on wargs. Because in this, you get warg rider as a keyword, so all of the wargs are bound to them, so you can make wargs as powerful as you want and balance it against how weak your minions are. You get to Rise of Saruman and do the same thing with their wargs, but they open it up to all orcs, and it's disgusting. It's the exact opposite of fun, in my opinion. I guess it's really subjective. Much prefer keeping wargs bound to warg riders.
And more thematic, if nothing else.
And honestly, I think that that's the best use of unloaded keywords, is to have your little push and pull balance, to do something that would be unbalanced in any other situation, but you purposefully make sure that even though there's not a rule associated with Warg Rider, that you make sure that none of the stats are too big or whatever, just as a convention. Some of the other unloaded keywords are a bit less tied to that. Like Valiant, for instance, is there any like design convention around Valiant, or is it just we're gonna slap it on, important Rohan people?
So playing Rohan, Valiant have only viable Rohan disc or condition removal with Let Us Be Swift.
Mm-hmm.
3 Valiant companions that you have to spot to play it.
So right, but so do Valiant? Have you noticed any like design convention for the Valiant companions themselves? Like we've noticed that here for the Warg Riders, they're not going to be a strength. Probably that 8 strength is probably one of the strongest Warg Riders there, and so they're sort of capped or kept within certain bounds to make sure they don't get out of control. Whereas Valiant is just kind of a thing. It's just you have to have Valiant, but we're not going to have a rule around what Valiant means.
No, I haven't really noticed convention. It appeared in set 5 and then a little bit in set 7. It disappeared for 8 and 10.
Yeah.
And then back when they did the Hunters, when they were reviving Tower Block or phasing out Tower Block, is when it came back again.
I made the argument in a blog post that it's essentially just the Theoden signet. That they just kind of worked it in that direction.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like it's a good example of how to translate the signets to keywords. That you don't tie it specifically to one person, but you do tie it to someone's arc. Like that was kind of Theoden's whole worry was about being worthy, about being valiant, and so you've got a keyword that works with that concept without necessarily being bound just to him.
So just looking at the Rohan companions we've got on both sides of this game, be Valiant on Theoden and Eowyn. So it looks like Valiant is kind of just act on. Like, well, what else can we do? Put Valiant on them. Doesn't really feel like there's a distinction between Eomer's level of valiancy and Eowyn's. Just doesn't have it here. Obviously, because it was before we made the keyword. If no companions had Valiant, or that was very rare to start with, like you had cards that conferred the keyword. If you like win a skirmish, then now you're Valiant. Bonuses off of that, or you off of that. Something you have to earn. Prove that you're valiant by winning combat or some such. Interesting twist on it. I don't know if it's necessary, but I have no idea. Well, I guess the adventure path tells us who's winning, but they're fairly evenly matched.
I like how this guy is basically like a mix between the regroup Eisen Orcs and like he's like a post archery. We're gonna give you archery during the regroup phase.
Loving that Eden though. Stacked. Grima food though.
I wish there were more cards that were like this, with a clear upside, very clear downside. It seems like a lot of downsides sometimes, at least for the Fellowship side, are more implicit. Like, we're not going to let you use this with another card, instead of explicitly outright saying, you know, you've got this new thing that you now have to juggle.
Imagine that Sharku's Warg if it said, "Error must be an Isengard orc." Awful.
Orc commander and orc overseer would be pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think every orc in set 3 would just auto break. 3 vitality. Oh my god, I'm gonna kill everybody.
It's exerting, regroup.
Well, that was kind of anticlimactic. You had that gigantic guy with all this vitality, and he doled out 2 wounds. Oh, unbound. So that's just +2. This is a case where, I mean, I've already ranted elsewhere about my dislike of Ringbound and the sort of mutated, like the different things that it's trying to do. But so trying to imagine here that if you happen to have a bunch of Ringbound men, a bunch of Ringbound Rangers, that this doesn't work against that is just, that's obnoxious. Like it, I don't know. It seems to go against the what if concept of the game, and
in that scenario, I'd say the what if is Frodo is there is no war because Frodo is just on the other side of the river. So
Well,
obviously,
you could make that argument, except Frodo is here with the Rohirrim. Like, we're already
right,
pretty,
but he's
pretty
not on the
firmly.
causeway.
Yeah.
I guess causeway doesn't because he's over there, but I guess he can still skirmish. It's going to break down somewhere.
Yeah.
The immersion.
Yeah, the moment that things moved over to 2 towers, you lost a little bit of the. You moved a little bit higher on the what if meter.
If they had gone, there was a way they could have done it. I think there's some old articles on the DGMA website that talked about getting ready for Towers block and how they split the fellowship. And might be making this up. They were discussing more immersive ways of demonstrating that, and then they backpedaled to just having the keyword split. The site path more or less the same. Yeah, there's definitely a way to push that team a little bit further and really 2 fellowships, I guess, a ring-bound fellowship and a unbound fellowship.
Right. But there's already so many things that you have to juggle. I mean, granted, I have literally never played this theoretical version, but it just sounds to me like
Been a little too much.
It would feel frustrating. Like, especially if you had a really good unbound fellowship and your ring-bound fellowship was getting torn apart, it's like, well, great. You know, I overcompensated over here, and now my Aragorn can't help out. And what bullshit is this? That half of my cards that I played on the table are doing nothing. But yeah.
I mean, that happens enough. Like, Raider's a good example, because Raider does so much better being on strong, its opposing fellowship is ring-bound or unbound.
Oh, it's after 4 o'clock. I forgot to warn people. Alright, I'm gonna hop on here.
Back of Isengard comes out.
Alright, I've extended it to 4:30, so I'm telling people now that as far as the event goes, they have to start a game in the next 22 minutes to get a last chance. Oh, we forgot to announce Power Hour too. We'll have to go back and man, I really messed those bits up.
We'll remember for next time.
Yeah.
It's all right. I would call this an uproarious success.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
It's been great to see so many people out. I mean, there's a lot of people in right now too.
Yeah, we broke the 100-member barrier here for our Discord server.
We have a number on how many people we had before today.
I can go back and count just all the number of times that somebody's message came up.
I'll go through the chat log and see who did today. We're up to 19 new members today on Discord.
And I guess I should stop this other stream.